Men of Reddit, what was the last thing you cried over? My daughter. She suffered an eating disorder and ultimately committed suicide. I wish I had known what to do. She was 16. I never cry for a reason really. As a dude, we're told to man up a lot and crying is just unmanly, right? So basically it just builds up until something random just triggers you. You run to the washroom, slap yourself a few times for being a pussy, clean yourself up and move on with your day. One of my battle buddies killed himself. Second one in 4 months. My old dog's inevitable passing. Some video on Reddit of a girl adopting her stepdad and he breaks down crying. I've been sensitive lately though. I cried on the train this morning out of loneliness and the fear that I'm too ugly to be loved. Typical Monday, to be honest. How excited my dog acted when I told her we were going for a ride. We were going to the vet for her to be put down. My parents hating each other's guts. Mom died a month ago. Break up for a moment at least once a day since. That probably won't change anytime soon. Or anytime ever. She was a good mom. The fact that I'm not really cared about. 2 of my adolescent nephews were murdered by their father, the husband of my sister. It was as horrible as it sounds. I think it was also the only time my wife, who I've known for 6 years and been married to for 3, has seen me cry. When I was 16, I found a stray pup, rot mix, took her home, fed her, put up signs. She was mine. Fast forward to my senior year of college. My friends and I rented a home and I took my dog with me. I failed to inspect the yard for the large gap in between my fence and the adjacent yard. 2 weeks after I moved in, animal control called and gave me the bad news. I was devastated. One of my profs who had me before actually pulled me aside to ask why I failed a test. I told him what happened and the next thing you know my other profs told me to take a week off. It's been 12 years. And I just teared up. My cat dying several months ago. He was like a silent brother to me. Having my daughter being diagnosed with muscular dystrophy and being told she's gonna be wheelchair bound and probably dead by 20 tbh, it still sucks now. Realize that my best friend doesn't love me anymore and our relationship is slowly fading. It hurts. My wife telling me she wants a divorce. Lonely. Have a bottle of peach perfume my ex have me to remember her by when I moved out to college. Put some on my wrist earlier today cause I'm lonely and thought that might help. Remember good times and stuff. Nope. Just made me miss her more. Crying again writing this. I get it. I'm oversensitive. Edit. Thanks, guys. Love you all less than 3. Getting pepper sprayed. 2/10. Would not recommend. Still better than watching 17 dresses. The first minute of my daughter's life this past January. Before that, hearing her heartbeat for the first time via emergency room ultrasound when my wife was 5 weeks pregnant and was having complications. This kid has onioned me pretty good and she's less than a year old. God help me. When I smoked the best weed ever and recorded it. My cat died at 16 years old. She was my best friend since I was 8. It could have been my mother, my father, but I was literally stripped of any goodbye or closing to a dead carcass one night after work. She was with me my whole young to adult life and that was 2 years ago. I miss her more than anything. R.I.P. Snowy. When I had to put my golden retriever and best buddy, Charlie, down. Duck. I am a grown ass man. But I miss that asshole. My mom's passing in August and some more about it since then. 2 years ago, I was binge drinking pretty frequently and doing pretty hard drugs. 3-day bender, coke, ketamine, a lot of molly and a little acid and tons of whiskey led to me getting a DUI. I never drive unless I'm sober but I was completely out of my mind. Lucky that I was only on the road 5 minutes. It could have been so much worse. Missed 2 days of work. During the bender I did 3 grams of moon rocks over a day and a half. The hangover of it lasted a week. Triggered gnarly and much needed introspection. This nice older lady I worked with asked why I missed those days and I just told her I was sick. She said, "Oh, you've been sick a lot lately. I'll pray for you." That's just triggered it. I'm not specifically religious, but her empathy and concern in response to a lie about me trying to mask my substance abuse was just overwhelming. It was a factory setting. Very loud and kind of isolated workstations, and I didn't slow my pace while I stoically had tears steaming for a solid 5 minutes. Puked about an hour later because my hangover was still so intense. I cried last night over being portrayed as something I'm not and close friends, or so I thought, not offending me. I then cried over the Firewatch opening, but I think I was feeling a bit sensitive still. Cora crying in a wheelchair watching Janora get initiated as a master airbender. It's not sad on its own, but watching someone younger achieve more than what you have hits home way too hard to me. Gay man here, the Orlando nightclub shooting. As someone who grew up in small town Ohio, I experienced so much hate towards me for being gay, and it just tore my heart to shreds when this happened. Realizing due to my father's alcoholism he probably won't be around much longer. He's 56, but is in worse shape than most 86-year-olds. The fact that I started to think that my cats are going to die at some point of my life. The Little Prince. How dare you, Netflix? I just wanted to watch a movie. I didn't want all the feels. I saw Moana in theaters with my sister. I'm glad we weren't sitting together, because I cried for pretty much the whole movie. About 5 years ago, my father unexpectedly announced that he would no longer live with us, because his mistress, whom he refused to leave, was pregnant. My mother, an old-fashioned, emotionally dependent woman, suddenly started demanding me to behave like the man of the house. I caught my wife trying to commit suicide. My abusive stick of a father telling me to kill myself. Love you, Dad. My ex. Earlier today, mainly because I was completely blindsided by it. I still have no clue why it happened. I would do anything to her back. My dog's broken leg. It was upsetting to see her in pain like that. 2-3 months ago, overwhelmed with new job, new locale, new people, etc. The birth of my son. I had always wanted kids. After my divorce and quite a few girlfriends that didn't work out for various reasons, I just thought it wasn't in the cards for me. Met someone about 4.5 years ago, got remarried, and our son was born in August. I don't cry. My eyes just like to sweat occasionally. My parents' marriage started getting rocky a few months back. I cried about it 2 weeks ago. They're working together now to fix what's been damaged, though. Knowing my daughter will never be fully independent or fully self-capable. This happened years ago, but an ex of mine lost it and almost strangled a friend of mine. Literally had to force them to the ground and told my friend to lock herself in the next room. Eventually calmed everyone down. Went home and bawled my eyes out. Sounds a bit wimpy, but it was a big shock to me. Watching the live feed of Standing Rock water protectors getting trapped and gassed on the bridge. Just overcome with the disgust for the heartless oil robots. Lately, I don't know why, it just so happens. I've always been a super strong-minded guy, but lately, I've just broken down twice in the last 6 months. For no apparently reason. Fear of not making it to med school. Fear that my past choices will not allow me to make it. Fear that I won't be anyone. Fear that I've peaked in high school and college is too hard. Fear that everyone else can somehow handle it but I can't. Life's hard, fellas. Or so. This bit of it feels that way. It doesn't even feel real. Oh, nothing. I just had something in my eye. The ending of The Last Unicorn, when the bull goes into the ocean as the unicorns are all set free. My grandfather died earlier this year. He was a lifelong Cubs fan. I broke down when they won, knowing how close he was to seeing them win. Had a massive breakdown a few days ago. Constantly getting calls from debt collectors who I can't pay, too depressed to answer their calls anymore. Parents severed all contact with me several months ago because I dared to question their socio-political beliefs. Only family I have left is my brother, who's too busy with his own family. Girlfriend of many years is constantly depressed because of the world as it exists today, and inconsolably lonely despite my best efforts. Found myself thinking I wish my parents were dead, because then there'd be a good reason for their severing of ties. Just very alone and helpless.